Welcome to episode 491 of Salcedo Paranormal, and tonight I am sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page, and that is salcedoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord or if you listen on the podcast or YouTube feeds, or if you listen on the Trouble Minds Radio Network. KUAP, Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of the show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Trouble Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Trouble Minds Radio, as well as Liam Martin, host of the Exile Minds podcast, for producing the shows and putting them up on the station as you hear them there with all the music and everything. If you'd like to support the show, there are some different ways to do that. You can always share the show with others and rate and review the podcast on your platform of choice. Also, I've written some paranormal fiction and nonfiction books you can check out over on Amazon. And I have a Patreon page where I'll be posting content whenever I can. And I have 1 episode there already. And you can get all of that content by joining any of the membership tiers. And if you'd just like to make a one-time donation, you can do that through either PayPal or Venmo. And I will I appreciate that. Help is always appreciated and never expected. But there are expenses in making these shows, from equipment to research materials to travel expenses, as I will be going to the Mid-Michigan Paracon this November 4th and 5th. That's a Saturday and Sunday. And that's going to be at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. And I'll be going there to make recordings of myself and anyone else who wants to join me. Just audio recordings, talking about all things paranormal. And then I will play those recordings on future shows once I get back home. So I think that covers all of that. We're getting closer to that event, so I'll give you all details as to my schedule for shows before and after as we get a little bit closer, once we get to that last week or so. And but I will be doing 6 shows per week all the way through until Halloween. And so that is the plan. And getting close in a couple weeks here, not even 2 weeks, a week and a half, we'll be at episode 500. So starting the countdown to that. So anyway, getting on to the material here I have for tonight. And we'll get started on this. Let's see here. So this one says, "This just happened about 30 minutes ago. I saw a bright light in the woods behind my house. This has happened on multiple occasions this year. The light is not a torch or flashlight and is much brighter, stationary, and alternates between dim and bright every 3 to 4 seconds. I went outside for a cigarette at 2 a.m. despite some drizzle and fog. I felt compelled to go outside even though it's not a usual smoking spot. And that is when I saw the light. It was the biggest and brightest one yet. It was football-sized, in the woods. I decided to investigate its source and went into the woods. The light immediately vanished. I climbed to the other side of the valley, but couldn't find the light again. But I did see a white shape on a tree stump. It turned out to be a small white owl, possibly a barn owl. The owl stared at me briefly and then silently flew off. I wonder if the light is from a house behind the woods or a wildlife camera. Was this paranormal or just a strange series of coincidences? And that's where the story ends. If it was just the light itself and there was nothing else in that story, maybe I could agree with that idea that it was just a camera of some kind. But I've heard that one part where they mentioned they felt compelled to go outside. I've heard that in so many stories. And then having them see something like that, see that light after or when they're inside, but they can see it. I guess they mean they could see it from inside. But being compelled to go out there to check it out, and then having it appear and then vanish once they got close to it. That in and of itself is amazing. And then having the owl be there, right where the light was at, is also amazing. It's sort of, I wonder in a way if that was a real or a regular owl that was there, or if it had something to do with the light. Just the imagery is because I've heard stories of people who have had a strange paranormal, a lot of times UFO or alien, whatever aliens are, alien experiences connected with owl sightings, either before or after or during. I've heard of that. I've heard of strange synchronicities with owls and these other kinds of events. So I don't know. I guess it is possible that all that could be coincidences, but it seems like a lot of them. Excuse me. And so I don't know. I have a feeling there was something going on there. What it was, I have no idea. But between feeling compelled to investigate and then having the owl be right where the light was seen, and also having the drizzling and the fog, you have water, you have fog. So many stories out there. Not all of them by any means, but so many stories. There's, again, sort of like the owl. There's this, a fog or a mist associated with the experience, either seeing or seeing the fog or mist before or during or after a paranormal experience. That is another thing that is odd. So you have all these little things that are sort of going on besides the obvious, in a way, besides the light itself, besides the bright shiny object there, or just the light of whatever it was. To me, I don't know for sure, but it seems like there was something going on there. So I'm glad that nothing else happened. I'm wondering, excuse me, I'm wondering if the light ever came back for the writer. Obviously, when they wrote that down, they said it was 30 minutes before they'd written it down. So I'd be curious to know if anything else ever happened in that area, if the light ever came back or not. I'd be curious about other experiences if there were any. So really amazing story there. I just really wonder what all those things mean when they're all together like that. That is quite the set of experiences there, set of details there in that one experience. So moving on to the next story. Let's see here. Okay, so this one says, I worked at a place with paranormal activity during my teenage years. Objects in the workplace would not move as one would expect, as in flying across the room like in movies. Instead, they would be one place at one moment and then another in the next. In other words, this was not common spirit activity that I had heard of before. I was in a photo studio with 2 rooms, separated by a door. I saw the props in one room would change when I moved between the rooms. Backdrops in the rooms would also change on their own. One time, while making a customer's passport pictures, something odd happened. We took 12 pictures of the person, but in pictures 8 through 10, the person was nowhere to be found in the image. The last 2 images were normal, with the person sitting there where they had been at the start of the session. The manager confirmed the place was haunted, but said the activity seemed to increase during my time there. Has anyone else had similar experiences? I've looked around online, but haven't found very many stories like mine. And that's where that one ends. And yeah, that's accurate. I haven't heard too many like theirs either, where you have objects that they see in one room 1 minute, and then they go to the next room, and they're in that next room the next minute. That's basically what I'm getting from that story. And then having having someone be sitting there in the picture, and then there for the first 7 pictures, fine, all the way through 7, fine, and then picture number 8, gone, 9, gone, 10, gone, 11, there, 12, there. And yeah, that's just, it sounds almost like some kind of a reality, alternate dimension kind of, maybe even parallel dimension kind of stuff, possibly, or the objects really are moving around somehow, but instantaneously, teleporting, yeah. Rohan and chat, hello there, Rohan. Also, hello, Lily. Lily, I saw you there too. Rohan says, sounds like teleporting type stuff and messing with cameras, maybe aliens, yeah, possibly portals, maybe. That story I could not believe. I can't believe, but I could not. I have rarely heard of. I've heard of one object. Usually, it's just one object in a place, or at least one every so often, that is sort of being moved around or vanishing and reappearing. I've heard of maybe even 2, but it sounds like there's multiples going on there, and just constantly. And so I really wonder. So I wonder about also the kinds of cameras they were using, and then you have lenses. You have basically these windows in a way, or these mirrors that are used for these different things. I wonder if there's something to do with the location, and then also the equipment, and then maybe even also the person in the story. They mentioned that their boss said that there was more activity when the writer of that story was there. So I don't know, but that's quite the amount of activity. And then yeah, those pictures, that is also amazing. It's not like it was blurry. They didn't say it was those middle pictures were blurry or couldn't make out what it was, or nothing like that. They just said that the person in the shot was just not there. And yeah, picture, yeah, portals and pictures. Yeah, so I don't know. I really wonder. I wish they could have asked the person that was having their picture taken all those times. I wish there was a way to interview that person about those moments, those 3 moments when those particular images were being captured. I wish you could talk to them and ask, did you feel strange at any point during this series of pictures that were taken? Did you see or hear anything or notice anything weird? Because again, and it may be something that happened, especially I don't know how quickly the pictures were being taken, but so yeah, that story brings up all kinds of questions there, and I really, it's an amazing. I haven't heard one quite with that much going on in one location as often like that in a little while, and especially that kind of activity. It's really a lot. So let's see here. Um, wow. So let me see here. Rohan says my sisters used to have a haunted phone taking freaky pictures. Huh. Yeah, that may be something to do a show on it, or look into more at some point. Pictures and or cameras and the paranormal, not just in sort of the idea, the traditional sense of like hoaxes and all those. I mean, obviously that stuff does exist, but the idea of the paranormal interacting with the parts of a camera and what that would look like, what that would do. I think that could be a fun one to look into. So, but yeah, that's all I can think of for that story. Just other than the fact that my mind has sort of been blown away by this one. Excuse me. So, moving on to the next story, since I can't think of anything else to say about that one. I do remember finding that one and thinking I can't wait till I can share this one because that's one of those that really did surprise me. Let's see here. Let me make sure I'm at the right spot. Okay, yep. So this one says, this happened almost a year ago. One day I used a certain hot pink towel for a shower. I left the towel on the closed toilet seat lid after using it. I went to my room, got dressed, and returned to the bathroom. But I couldn't find the towel. I checked my room, but couldn't find it there either. I asked my mom if she had seen her move the towel, but she hadn't left her room. We were the only two people living in the house at the time. I spent around 10 minutes searching for the towel. Eventually, I found it, folded with the other towels, in the closet, completely dry, as if I had never used it. I was sober and remember clearly leaving the towel on the toilet seat lid before leaving the bathroom. And that's where that story ends. Funny how that's sort of similar to the last one, except it's just this one time. So whereas weird stuff was happening constantly in this photo studio, you just have this one towel in this one situation in this place, in this one house, their home. And it sounds like, I don't know, sort of reversal of time in a way, or a reversal of a state of an object. I wonder how much time went by exactly. If the writer, maybe there was some different weird time stuff going on there that the writer didn't notice because they were busy. But that is amazing. That seems like what they're saying is they used the towel and it was wet and then it vanished and then reappeared in the closet where it had been before. They had used it as if they had never used it. So I don't know with that one. Some of these I wonder if it's sort of people traveling between just slightly different alternate universes of some kind, alternate timelines of some kind. I know that may seem like a huge jump, but to me, I don't know, not so much. Maybe it's because of my own experiences and dreams with that kind of thing, where I had dreams of being in other timelines. But and then with that photography place, I wonder if the writer, and my mind keeps going back to that story, so I'm sorry, but it kind of does connect. If the writer was somehow jumping between timelines there, universes there, and that's why the backdrops or the objects seem to be in one place at one moment and then another place another moment. Maybe they were, or maybe they weren't. It was two separate objects. And again, if the person was traveling somehow, or even just seeing into these other places somehow, then they were really looking at separate objects. So that's I don't know, but I wonder about that. So there's so much I don't think we really know, and I think the nature of the universe and or multiverse is one thing we don't really know for sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot more people out there who have had similar experiences, whether it's in dreams or not, with what seems like to them to be other versions of reality where it's just a little bit different. So, but yeah, so I guess that's where I'll leave that story. Would like to get through one more story here before we end up here for the night. But yeah, I really wonder about that. How much is related to time, but also just beyond that, how much is related to just other universes, other versions of reality that are just not that much different. So, and sorry about the heater sound there. If you heard that, that's my heater. Got a new thermostat and it makes different noises, so that's always fun. But anyway, so yeah, that's why I'm just my mind is stuck on those couple of stories there. But anyway, getting to this story here, and then we'll probably be done for the night. This one says, I live in the northern Appalachian Mountains. Appalachian, I'm not sure how you say that exactly. This happened while I was in middle school. My friends and I loved to explore the woods and build forts there. One day we discovered a stone wall in the woods. We followed the wall and found a cabin with a blue tarp on its roof. We decided not to investigate immediately, but we returned the next day with more friends and followed the same cobblestone wall to the same spot. The cabin had completely vanished, leaving no traces or disturbances in the ground. Unable to figure out what had happened, we all agreed to never visit that area again. We still hardly ever talk about it to this day. And that's where that story ends. And I had forgotten, or I hadn't even thought about it at the time, maybe when I was finding these stories, but that's amazing. That's sort of three stories that you could almost say are similar in different ways. But that's just really amazing. And I've heard similar stories. I'm sure others have too. If you've looked at any of this at all, there's stories of places that appear to be one way one time, and then you go back there, and then it's different. And as many as there are people, yeah, as far as different realities go, yeah, that's possible. Really, there, yeah. But in the chat, but yeah. So I wonder if they somehow found a way into the past, or even I know a lot of people when they hear these stories, I think a lot of people automatically figure it must have been an experience with some place that was there in the past, but I don't really know. I don't think we can know that for sure. What if in some cases it's not the past, it's the future? Or again, going back to the idea that's sort of been popping up on the show tonight, didn't plan on this. I just put the stories together, put the stories in the list, the document as I find them. What if it was some kind of alternate parallel reality thing? So, and that's why there was no signs of even the foundation of the cabin on the ground on the forest floor. But that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all in the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care.